Awesome. So we are recording. So thank you so much for joining us on an amazing interview session with Jacob McGill. This is your host Mithil with co-host Cheryl, and excited to be here. Hi Cheryl, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks. Great to be here with you two gentlemen. And we're going to be talking to Jacob this evening. So, really excited to have him share all about his business and his path to get there.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hi Jacob, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad to be here.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. So, Jacob, I'm super excited to be here. So let's proceed ahead. So, the way you are working right now. So, what is that one thing that motivates you to go ahead in doing what you're doing right now?
Like in my day to day, do you mean?
I mean, your work.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. Like the question differs a little bit depending on which one you're asking, but essentially, like the company exists for a single reason, and that is that we're here to work with heart-based businesses. If you're out to make somebody's life better, then we actually act as an echo chamber. And the way that we do that is through automation, delegation, and systems, because most people aren't actually building a business based around the things that they love, right? They're habitually building somewhere between a job and a prison, to be completely honest. And so if you don't know that you're doing that, then you're doing it unconsciously. So that's part of that principle of being an echo chamber, right? Like when you hear what you say, then you can double check it.
Lovely. That's awesome.
Very
So,
nice.
true. So, Jacob, how and when did you started this line of work?
Yeah, so 80/20 Media was born out of a necessity. I actually still run my first business. It's 24 years old now, and it's called the 100-Year Plan. And after, opening my own location and running a brick and mortar with a front door for 6 years straight, and actually having like a 3-month waiting list for the last 3 years that I was in practice, I started to burn out. And so I thought there's got to be a way to take this online. Like other people are already doing this, et cetera, et cetera. And so I started originally with the fantasy that I was going to be able to flip it fairly quickly. And it ended up taking a whole year. I shut down my clinic, I closed the doors, and I spent a year launching the 100-Year Plan online. And the people that I hired to do this with me, by the time we got about halfway through, it was like, we have a service here. Like we actually have a saleable model. And so 9 months after we started this project, we launched a company, and we, I think, almost broke 20 clients in our first 18 months. So it was not only a viable service model, it was in demand.
Wow. Cheryl, isn't it amazing?
This is great. It sounds like you've got a very successful plan, Jacob, and I think more people will want to hear a little bit more about how that works and what the recipe is that you can share with them.
True.
Fair enough.
Can you share a little bit more about that with us?
The recipe, and I don't quite get the question.
Understood. So can you maybe share a little bit more about the elements of what your service offering is for people, so that those of us, others that are listening, they can understand sort of what some of the business outcomes are that you can assist with to help propel their businesses forward.
Right. So to put it simply, like again, most people aren't building a business with any goal. They're drifting. And so one of the first things that we do when we onboard a client is we work backwards from a 6-figure business plan. And it's kindergarten level math. I mean, it's 100,000 divided by 4. That's $25,000 per quarter, right? And then we have to map it into your offer. What is your product? What is your service? What's your one-on-one? What's your group? What do you sell while you sleep? And once we map out those different financial levels, we're using a very simple system that was published by Kevin Kelly, the founder of Wired Magazine. He wrote an article over 15 years ago now, and it's called 1,000 True Fans. And so mathematically, if you have 1,000 people who are willing to pay you $100 a year, which is less than $2 a week, then you have a six-figure business. If you have 100 people who are willing to pay you $1,000 a year, which is still less than $100 a month, you have another six-figure business. And these are simply like products and a group offering at this point. We haven't even got to the one-on-one offering, which is the only thing most people have when I first connect with them. And so, as you can see, we can build 3 six-figure income streams for you. They're a proper ascension model for your clients and customers. And the smartest thing that you can do in terms of marketing is sell your one-on-one to the people who are already happily buying your group and your low ticket. Right? And so there's a kind of nepotism in here, and the know, like, and trust is already built. And so this model is scalable. It is used by the biggest businesses in the world, right? Costco is still selling their hot dog and a beverage for $1.50 to get you in the door, right? And they provide value up front, and then you decide there's something else inside that's valuable to you. So that's like the fundamental mechanics of it. But the main thing to understand is, again, most people are drifting. They're not designing a business to not only deliver these 3 things, but also to put themselves at the helm of doing the things they enjoy the most. And so automation, delegation, and systems are your options for this. And like, there's this true story I have of 2 clients I onboarded within the last month. And one of them, she wants to be the first point of contact every step of the way, right? I want to be there on that first 15-minute discovery call, and then the 30-minute sales call, and then the 60-minute onboarding call. And within 14 days, I onboarded another client, and he's like, until they've gone through all those steps, I don't want to talk to them. Right? I want that to be somebody else or a system or videos. I don't care. But so those 2 people need 2 completely different customer journeys. And that dictates how we build the platform. Right? And because the platform runs your customer journey. And this is the difference between buying a random software system, and there's a lot of great ones out there and they all work, but they're selling you their software, not your success. It's not built around your customer journey, understanding how you move people through your process. And then back to that 1,000 True Fans model, your job is basically to give your best work away at every step along the pathway, because, you know, things that had IP were maybe relevant 15 to 20 years ago. But any question you have, you can now get answered. Right? You want fitness, nutritional advice, like people are self-diagnosing and coming into doctors. And that's before AI passed the medical board exam, which happened 2 months ago. So the functionality of technology and its ability to automate your processes is moving at a startling rate. And if you're not adopting, you will 100% be left behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
This is deep. Thanks, Jacob. And yes, I am also a fan of 1,000 True Fans, because this is something so crucial that, we like usually we think of, like, we need to capture so many people. No, we just have to focus on those 1,000 true fans, and we are sorted, because those 1,000 true fans are someone who will follow us till the end. And if we nurture them, we take care of them, like, everything will fall into place. And then comes word of mouth publicity based on those 1,000 true fans.
Mhm.
And that's how, you actually grow in a much deeper way. So this is brilliant, Jacob. Thank you for sharing this with us. So Jacob, when you are onboarding clients, all right, so you must be also having a kind of like ideal clients, whom you want to onboard. So who are your ideal clients?
Yeah. So again, like our general statement is if you're out to improve other people's lives, then there's a pathway for you, right? And other people much smarter than myself have carved out the steps, the process, the mechanics to get you there. And, obviously, social media is a huge opportunity for people who actually care more about people than they do about money to go out there and share whatever you're passionate about. And the thing to remember is this 1,000 True Fans principle came out before crowdfunding, right? Before all these crowdfunding platforms came into place where people could sell low-level subscriptions to content, to product, to service, to any sort of thing. And so all we really do is take people who are passionate about something, and mostly it's about affecting other people's lives in some way. And then again, we help them expand their reach, right? You don't need to go to a crowdfunding platform. You just have a low ticket offer inside your ascension model as part of your funnel system. And that's really the process. And the important stuff here is what's managing your back end as well, because I've had almost 600 consulting calls now. And I set out to prove one thing in every single call, that I can give you a six-figure business plan, right? You can name anything, like I like dogs, and we can produce a six-figure business model for you. The point behind it is once you know what you're doing, you actually don't have a plan until you know what it is that you are not doing. And so I've asked, more than half of these people, hundreds and hundreds of people during the consulting call. It's a setup question. Like, do you want me to double your business? They all answer yes. And then we go through a list because there's 100 things you need to do every month to manage your business. And most people only like 20 of them. And so if I double your business unconsciously, next month you have 160 things you don't love doing, and you're obligated to do that because it's the foundation of your business. So again, if you're not thinking about the structure underneath your business, what are you automating? What are you delegating? What are the systems? And people hire every day without an SOP, without a job description. And at least with automations, you cannot get a machine to do something unless you program the steps. But you can pay people for years without telling them what you actually need done. And it's frustrating on both sides. So really, if you want to grow a business, you need to understand the inner workings and how to have the business itself take care of the things that, again, are necessary but don't serve you by doing.
Yeah. What I'm hearing is that that you bring an amazing customized automation possibility to your clients, so they can effectively design what pieces of the business they want automated and supported, and you will create and help and support them to build that so that they have the business outcomes that they need. Correct?
Well, our top level service is all done for. We don't want you touching the technology. You're just going to break it. So we actually map all that stuff out for you and build your digital infrastructure for you and just teach you how to operate it, teach you how to drive the car. But I know a lot of people who can drive just fine who do not know what's going on underneath the hood. Other than fuel and oil, they're about done.
Exactly. So effectively, you offer the client the dashboard. So they understand, to use your analogy, they understand what speed they're driving down the road. They can look out the window and see where they are. They can, check whatever app if they need more directional guidance. So they know where they're heading to and how many kilometers they have already gone. They know when they're arriving. All those things, all the different elements to make those things happen are what you deliver in the black box, but all the essentials that they need to run the business, they've got a dashboard effectively to be able to do what they need to do. Correct?
Yeah, to a certain degree. I mean, it's actually more like driver education. Like we onboard, and in our first tier, we launch your discovery call, your video sales letter, your one-on-one funnel, your group offer, your reminder sequences, your automation, your marketing, etc. And we do that in the first 30 days. You should be able to go up and running, working with your list and pulling in revenue 30 days from launch. And then the next 60 days, it's operational. Like, how is this working? Do we need to tweak this? Do we need to tweak that? You should have done 30 to 50 discovery calls by now. Are they the right people, or do you need to put out content that's a little bit different, right? And so you understand that there's cause and effect to every step of your business. So that takes care of the first tier in the first 90 days. After we have that, and that's your foundation, then we build the rest, your membership area, your coursework. We'll launch a beta where you get paid to start teaching your courses. And then we start helping you build your ascension model, where you can take people from I've never heard of this person, I think I've heard of them, to I'm familiar with them, to I do business with them, which is how a customer journey works. And you want to do that through your list, via text, via email. You want to do that through your social media, via content, and then move them into direct messaging. Have your profile set up as a funnel and really operate as a professional inside the digital space.
Excellent.
Wow, Jacob, you're actually killing it. And I'm really enjoying this interview, and the way you are actually onboarding people, and that actually gives a lot of clarity, not just to the clients, but when the clients reciprocate the same into their system through automation and process, I think even their clients, it becomes much more smoother for them to go through the whole process. This is brilliant, Jacob. Lovely.
Thank you.
So when it comes to onboarding the clients, and as you shared your ideal clients with us, so how do you measure the success of your customers?
Yeah, I mean, we actually offer a 10x guarantee, right? All the systems you need in place are there so that you should be able to take 10 times profit out what you invest with us in the first year. And so we do a proof of concept on that first discovery call, right? Before we even consider working together, the math is sitting there. And then in the back end, I actually build, like, if we're talking about the customer journey for a second, that 6-figure business plan is done free in a call. And I did that for a reason. I actually was talking to somebody the other day, a prospective client, and she's like, "Oh, you're playing the game of karma." It's really simple. My commitment is that I have 1,000 of these consulting calls, and I give away $100,000 business plan each time, because that's $100 million that I'm pushing out there in value, right? Without any expectation of any sort of return. Now, why that matters is the level of my services. We have spots for 25 clients in total. Now, there's not 25 spots. We've already got some of those clients, but each one of them is dedicated to impacting 25 million lives. And if you understand the ripple effect, that actually happens quite easily. Each person knows around 200 people. You're 1 degree of separation in personal relationships from 40,000 people, right? And so 1.6 million people are 2 degrees of separation away from you. So the ripple effect's actually very strong, and there's a lot of potential to impact other people's lives. This is how content goes viral and things like that as well. So that's kind of like a baseline principle. But when you're officially onboarded into our first tier, there's a 90-minute call where we put out, like, what's your vision? Where do you want to be a year from now? Where are we going, etc. And then I take that as the stepping stone and reverse engineer the business plan for a company that's running in $1 million in revenue, right? Because it's kind of simple to scale, right? If you've got a 6-figure business, then you need to multiply certain factors by 10. Right? And that tells you what you need to do. Do you need more fulfillment? Is that more product, or do you need more people to keep delivering services? That kind of stuff actually is quite simplistic once you have this foundation. But the goal overall is actually making a difference, right? And the money comes secondarily.
Excellent. You're obviously very passionate about this. That's great.
I totally agree, Cheryl.
Thank you.
So Jacob, before we end this particular interview, people who are listening to this particular interview, if they want to connect with you, what are the ways where they can do that?
Yeah, they should start with that six-figure business plan. And the URL is call.8020.media. And that's how you book a discovery call. That subdomain will take you right to a funnel. There's probably a 10-minute video there that explains how we work.
Mhm.
And then there's a calendar sitting right below that. And one of the things that we're doing right now, just to prove that what we do actually works, is we're running a campaign right now which allows us to put 5 leads in your hands during one of those discovery calls. So if you have a list, which you should if you want to call it a business, because a business has 2 things, brand and a list. Right? And I've been explaining this to people a lot. It's probably worth taking a minute in the interview. When you drive by McDonald's, you can see the brand is right there, and then that list is right underneath. However many billion people served, that's the value of that company. So your value is in your brand and your list. And if your list has 100 people, then we get an average of 5 to 10% response rate when we send out a couple crafted messages to that list. And so literally during my consulting calls, I'm pulling in 5 to 10 leads for each business, showing you how we can help you grow your business without even asking you to onboard if that's your choice.
Excellent.
Wow,
So,
Jacob.
so basically somebody watching this, they can take advantage of reaching out to the URL that you mentioned, and they can during that consultancy conversation, they can effectively get 5 leads in hand for their business right out of the gate before they even commit to moving forward while you're having the conversation to see if it's a good fit. So I'd say that sounds like that's a pretty low risk conversation. And in fact, that's a great opportunity for everyone to reach out to you and see if it is a good fit for their business, if they'd like to, as you said, 10x and get things going.
Yeah, absolutely. And for people who want to watch the video that explains that step by step, it's 8020.media/VSL. And that takes you to a very similar funnel, but that explains how we're going to pull those leads in during that call. Most people don't care. They just want 5 more customers than they have right now. And so that's why they're booking.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jacob, for being here. And Cheryl, I hope, even you enjoyed, interviewing him. And we got a lot of insight and excited to, connect with you and start this journey also, and know a lot about your own automations, your funnels, and much more.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it, both of you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank
This is
you.
great,
Thank you
Jacob.
so much.
Thank you so much, Jacob. I've learned a lot during this conversation, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of people reaching out to you.
Thank you.
So I